Mister? How do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
I start the second hour with 2 words. She's back. And she's here. Alison Moran is with
Brian,
us.
I cannot hear a word.
What?
Let me check something.
Here we go again, kids.
My darling, there you are. I can hear you now. Okay. Oh boy, technical stuff.
I think that describes our friendship for 13 years. For those of you who don't know, when I first met Allie, she was to call into my show, and the moment she called in, and I was sitting in Starbucks in Chicago, the moment she called in and we started having a conversation, my equipment went dead.
I remember it well.
It went completely dead, and I'm just sitting there looking at my laptop, and I'm going, "What happened?" Well, it turned out the plug came out of my laptop, and at the same time, it came out of my mixer, so I had to replug that in. We got resituated. That's been us for 13 years, man.
That's right. It's just how it goes. What do you do? You know, it's going to happen no matter what. So we just deal with it as it comes, and we move forward.
It's the 21st century, so expect some kind of technical difficulty somewhere.
Exactly.
There was you wanted to lead with this, and I encourage you to lead with this. There was a very tragic event that happened on the Potomac.
Yes, absolutely. Our hearts are going out today to the members of the U.S. Figure Skating Association who were killed last night. 64 people on an American Eagle flight, now assumed dead as when they were when their flight collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. Not many names have been released yet, but both the Irish Star and the Boston Figure Skating Club have talked about the people that were unique to this club who have passed away. The Figure Skating Club of Boston lost 6 members of their team, and it was 3 of their skaters, their parents, and 2 something like 2 members of their coaching team who were world champion pair skaters from Russia. And I have their names. I'm going to work on pronouncing them correctly. Vadim Naumov and Jenya Shishkova. There was a young man named Spencer Lane who had received his invitation to this figure skating development camp in association with the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, which had been going on in Kansas. All of these people were on their way from Kansas back to Reagan International Airport. And so finally, Gina Hahn and her mother also died in this plane crash. Let's say they're assumed dead, as this is now a recovery mission and not a rescue mission anymore. The cold weather of the Potomac would not be able to hold these individuals. I'm just shattered by it. There was this is not the first time either that a plane crash has halted the U.S. Figure Skating Association. Way back in 1961, the entire team and their coaches all crashed in Belgium, and it took until past the 1964 Olympics to get beyond and rebuild. The tragedies of that. There were so many lives lost. And as the U.S. Figure Skating Association said about this is on board that plane was the future of U.S. figure skating.
Mm-hmm.
But for the moment, our hearts go out to them, to the rest of the individuals on the plane, and also to the Black Hawk helicopter and their families.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing now, the families that have suffered the loss.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine losing my family like that.
Nor I. And that has happened. Sorry, dabbing on air, but it's a sad day for U.S. figure skating, and I've been a fan of U.S. figure skating since I was a baby. I have vague recollections of even early on Peggy Fleming, because I saw this woman leaping in the air when I was a baby, and it was like, and I was just going, wow, how did you do that? And from that moment on, I was absolutely hooked on U.S. figure skating and figure skating in general. And it was always a highlight of the Olympics. Mm-hmm. It was a highlight in the off years as well, when they'd have the World Figure Skating Championships. Apparently, the Russian pairs champions, their son was also likely a victim, and he had just placed fourth in the men's competition.
Wow.
Yeah, he was 23.
My youngest, my son, is 26. You want to talk about, and I had just found him 7 years ago when I met Jody.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just met him. When I met Jody, those are my children through marriage.
Yeah.
I already lost one child when I lost Donna in 2015.
I remember that.
Man, you want the worst thing you can take away from a father is his children.
Yes.
The worst thing you can take away from a father is his children. And I've already lost one. I've already lost one child. I've already lost Donna. And y'all know Donna was very, very dear to me for the time that I had her.
Mm-hmm.
And that little, I tell you what, sister, I'll make people smile and remember the folks in the crash by making people smile, and this is for them for the remainder of the show. Donna had this little squeal about her when we would be watching a basketball game.
Woo.
And I can tell she was born in Indy, and I can tell she was going to be a Pacer fan. Every time we watched the Pacers, she had this little squeal about her, and she'd be so excited. Mm-hmm. Not just to watch the Pacers, but to watch sports with me, period. She was going to be a daddy sports girl. I already knew it. Cheyenne, my stepdaughter, brought me a 49ers cup, and she looks at me, she says, "Daddy, I'm not into sports that much, but what do you like?" "Yeah, I'm a puddle."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm a puddle.
Mm-hmm.
After she says that, Sonia, my other beautiful daughter, did something for me, and she said when we met, I'm not a big sports fan either, but Sonia did something to help me with a project that made me click because we were working down in Durham, North Carolina, at Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having trouble sorting the small packages. Now, anyone who has gotten a package either before, during, or after Christmas, the smalls are a pain in the ass. So, the
Oh, yeah.
smalls are a pain in the ass, and I was having so much trouble with the small packages. I said, what do I do here? Somehow it clicked to my daughter that I'm a baseball fiend. So she turned and looked at me and she says, Dad, this pile goes over in left field, this pile goes in center field, this pile goes in right field.
Love
And it
that.
clicked, and it
Love
clicked.
that.
We were out of there in 40 minutes.
Oh, love it.
To the
Oh,
point, to the point where my supervisor said, how'd you do that so fast? Hey, my daughter helped me with a baseball analogy. Does she like baseball? She hates sports for the most part.
and yet
And yet
it's,
she used that to make it click.
I love it. As my dad used to say, and the little child shall lead.
She did there.
Yeah,
She did there.
that's pretty awesome. Well,
Speaking of leading,
mhm.
Caitlin Clark told the NBA, thanks, but no thanks, when it came to the special 3-point shootout. And I love her reasoning, and I plan to be there because she wants to participate in the 3-point shootout in Indianapolis.
Yeah, yeah, and at the WNBA All-Star game.
Yep.
And yes, God, I want to be there too. I need a road trip like
I'm gonna try to get
nobody's
you there.
business.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
try to get my wife and get you press
all
passes
right.
to that event because I want to see that in person.
Me too.
I want to watch it here in studio. I want to see it in person.
Exactly, exactly. I think that would be fabulous, and
It would be
I
fun.
like that. But imagine Caitlin Clark. Look at the offers she has had in the off season. She could have joined the Unrivaled League for $1 million plus
$1 million.
dollars. I mean, she could have done the 3-point shootout with Steph Curry. I mean, come on. It's I would say that while Caitlin has earned every bit of rest humanly possible, I mean, I understand why she wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Because the season is going to be grueling on her, especially during a sophomore season is, from what they've told me, has been 20 times as bad as your rookie season.
Yeah, but when you're equipped with a jump shot, you're ready for it.
Yeah, and you got that. But remember that her game isn't perfect either. And
Mhm.
I mean, she still needs that outside shot consistently. And she needs to have, kind of better defense. And the defense needs to be a bit stronger around her as well. And the thing is, by the way, kudos to the Indiana Fever for re-signing Kelsey Mitchell, just like I told him to. It's like, not that I had damn thing.
I was so happy when that news came down that she was going to remain with Indiana. We both thought that she would. We both had that inkling she would, but now she made it official. How big is that for Indiana to have their starting backcourt back in tow?
That is so huge. You can see them go up from number 6 to number 3 seed this year, and that's my guess. And maybe you never know. If the world connects as it might, I mean, they could be a number 1 seed for all we know. I mean, it's such a jigsaw puzzle right now with the WNBA in the free agency and the the off season, it's going to be a remarkable new world out there. And let's see. Let's take a second to remember all these. First of all, the Seattle Storm sending Jewel Lloyd to the Las Vegas Aces, and Kelsey Plum is going to the Los Angeles Sparks. And let's see. The thing is that the Storm are also acquiring the number 2 pick in the 2025 WNBA draft coming up in April. They also got Lee Giroux from the Sparks, as well as Las Vegas's let's see, which one is it? Las Vegas's 2026 first round pick. That's according to ESPN. It was blockbuster. Oh my God. You know, Jewel, as we've talked about, has not been happy with the deals that, that the Seattle Storm has left her. She's got a lawsuit still on the books, and so it is going to be a real issue. She can start fresh with a new team. If all is finalized and the Golden State Valkyries don't make a play for her, which is possible still, we will know February 1st. The deal is not official until then. And also because it involves a sign and trade for Kelsey Plum. So you are going to have another day of suspense. And then if it all goes through, then Jewel Lloyd will be a Las Vegas Ace. And good for her. God knows Becky Hammond can use her in every way, shape, and form. I think they're a good match. I think that it's going to be a real smart combination out there, because after 2 WNBA championships, the Las Vegas Aces fell from grace last year, and they just were not there. I think there were a lot of issues that were going on internally, and I think that's a huge problem for them. But maybe some of them are repaired now because of this trade. God willing. Yeah.
So with Kelsey Plum being gone from Las Vegas, what's that do for the Aces? Where do they go from there?
They make Jewel Lloyd. They put her in there, and I think one of the things that Jewel brings is as much leadership as Kelsey did, and I really think that they are going to be even a stronger team. With Jewel in the fold, I can definitely see where they're going to have a very feisty and a very aggressive player in that. Not that Kelsey wasn't, she is, but she's going through a hell of a lot right now.
Right.
Got to remember that divorce. She got out of the Unrivaled League to work on herself, and maybe there was some of that happened within season as well, going through that and just being burned out. So I think you're going to see a new burst of fire in the Las Vegas Aces next year.
And of course, it all goes through Asia Wilson as
Absolutely.
well, getting a new teammate. So
exactly,
you got all that to mix in.
I'm really looking forward to that matchup. I think it's going. I mean, can you imagine? It's kind of like Sasha Fierce meeting Sasha Fierce, right?
Yes. Yes. It is.
It's great.
It is.
I'm so excited about having Asia Wilson and Jewel Lloyd on the same team. I think I think Becky has her two spark plugs right there.
I think she does too. And
Yeah.
it's going to be fun to watch. It's
Yes.
going to be fun to watch.
May I just say too, welcome home, Sluty.
Yes.
Welcome home. As most
Another piece of big news. Courtney Vandersloot is predicted to come on home to Chicago and re-sign with the Sky this offseason.
It will be a done deal. She left to get another title. She really wanted to have two titles under her belt. So she and Allie Quigley, her wife, went off to the New York Liberty. After 2 seasons, they get the title. Now she's back where she belongs.
Yes.
Yeah. The thing that Sluty just brings to the Sky has been incredible leadership on the floor. She's called the general for a reason.
Right.
You know, she will tell people where to go. You know, you can see her, going that way, that way. And she's like an assistant coach, really. And to have her back, and that means that Allie Quigley will be somewhere in there as well, and I don't believe she's playing anymore, but we'll see what happens. But at least she will be back in Wintrust Arena for sure. And the thing is, the combination of the two of them is going to be so therapeutic for the Sky that, just having them back in the arena will be such a great deal for them. And just having their presence will make such a difference. But I can see with the coach, he made every attempt. The general manager, Jeff Pagliocca, did, made Courtney Vandersloot a priority to get her back this year. Now, the bad news is Kennedy Carter no longer.
So no more Barbie and Ken show.
No more Barbie and Ken show. I don't like that. I do not think that this was a great move. I know why. The reason being was that she was so closely associated with Coach Spoon. She was Teresa Weatherspoon, who was fired, of course, and Tyler Marsh taken over. The problem was that there were a lot of complaints in the locker room about Coach Spoon playing favorites. And that caused a disruption. That's, to me, not a great thing. But Kennedy Carter was the leading scorer on that team.
So where does she land? Who takes her on?
That's a good question. She burned some bridges last time she was in the WNBA. I'm going to venture that she's going to go perhaps unsigned for a while yet. I think what may happen with her is, I think, let's say that somebody goes down. Like perfect example is Cameron Brink, who went down last year. I could see her coming in as maybe a replacement. For a certain contract, if somebody tears their ACL, goes out of the season. I think it's going to be very hard for her to be in the WNBA. I really think so. Just because, she proved herself, but I think there's that taint of her. There's that taint of what happened when she was on the Atlanta Dream, where there were disruptions and difficulties and all kinds of things that didn't fly with the rest of the players. So I really think that she's going to be a hard case to place.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, she burned a lot of bridges, and we all know how she played when it came to playing against Indiana, which is at the forefront of that profile. You watch the games, I watch the games. That's only what happened between Chicago and Indiana when she was playing there is only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, where all the flagrant fouls that did and did not get called, all those things that have happened. But I think that she'd be a great pickup for any team that would have her. I think that she will do everything she can to be, humbled. I think it will be very, very interesting to see what happens when she's, when we get closer to the season. And there's always somebody who's going to take a chance.
Yeah, there is.
I just can't think of one right now where she would be a perfect fit, and I can't think of one where it wouldn't be somehow difficult. I will say also, though, on other Sky stuff, they did meet with Dejanay Carrington as well, which would be a very interesting choice. Playing alongside Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, I could see that working out pretty good. I don't have a problem with that. Do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I could see that. I think what the Sky really needs is one more defender.
Yes. Because there were so many second half of the year, especially after the All-Star break and after the Olympic break, second half of the year, where we talked about Indiana going up, Chicago fell down. Especially their defensive cohesion was just not there, and they ran out of gas trying to get into the playoffs. And a lot of that is because they allowed a lot of buckets underneath. Well, let me just say it real. They allowed teams to cut them to ribbons on the inside with all the backdoor cuts that they gave up and the defensive lapses. That was Chicago's downfall.
Yes, and there's no way that you can really overestimate the value of a strong defender. Stephanie Dolson had that kind of defender position as the center. Camila Cardoso just, she's too young. She was, and also not coached up, I think, properly in that position. And I think that it'll be interesting to see how her sophomore year goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
If they could if Dijonay could sign, or if they could find one other defender who could really give them the boost that they need.
And like
Lord,
you said, Camila Cardoso is too young. And I hate saying this, but you know how I am. I call it like I see it. You play too small also.
yes,
In many
yes.
games.
Now we don't know yet what Marcia's strategy is going to be.
Right.
And so I mean, I think of the case of Muggsy Bogues and how that little mighty might, I mean, hell, I was taller than he was, but he could, he found a way to get, underlegs, and,
Yeah.
you know,
He did. That's how that he used his height to his advantage.
he did, which was amazing. And I remember my mother is 4'8", and I used to say to her, "Mom, look at somebody your size." Look at that. She goes, "I could do that too."
I would tease my mother-in-law so much because my mother-in-law is like what 4'11".
Oh my God.
Picture, and my nephew is 6'4".
Oh my God.
So my nephew was holding my niece Jordan, and someone took a picture of us.
Mm-hmm.
Me on one side, my nephew on the other side, and my mother-in-law in the middle. And she
Mm-hmm.
puts my nephew's hat on, saying, "Hey, I'm tall now." And
No.
at the moment, he and I looked at her and went, no, someone snapped the picture.
Boy, do I love that. It's so great. I had some statistics to move on to another point of the Unrivaled League.
Yeah.
Okay. Unrivaled in their first week averaged 312,000 viewers for its first doubleheader on TNT and True TV. Now, these games set records for women's basketball viewership on these networks. They did fall short of expectations. And remember what we had talked about a little bit earlier. We had talked about how they were focusing, the Unrivaled people, on the ratings instead of the attendance in Miami, where they're going to be for a few weeks. And now even the WNBA's regular season games averaged over 300,000 viewers without Clark.
Right.
It suggests, though, that the debut numbers of Unrivaled may not hold up to long-term scrutiny. And so we'll see. However, there is one interesting bright spot, and that is social media was a very bright spot for them. TikTok content based on Unrivaled, generating 1.75 million views for the first week, which far outpaced the previous engagement with professional women's basketball content. And then, we'll see. Well, the ratings haven't been posted.
Do you think with the Unrivaled League, do you think it's sustainable with what they're offering the different players? Do you think it's sustainable over time?
I think that since they exceeded the numbers of revenue that they expected, I think if they fiscally they're very conservative about it, yes, it could sustain. The other thing that I have a feeling that they absolutely need to do is get Caitlin Clark in there. That will sustain. That will help sustain.
That will blow the ratings up.
Exactly. There's still
Caitlin Clark, but I think CC made the smart move in not participating this year because of it would have been a horrible case of fatigue.
It would have been, and she probably would have injured herself and not be able to participate at all. I think that what will eventually happen is she's going to get more used to being in this thing, year round. Essentially, I believe that that's how Caitlin Clark is going to manage what she's feeling right now, and I think it's smart.
Yeah.
I think that that what you really need to do with the league is continue to play out the plan. And I mean, they're putting up some real nice numbers. They're very, very fun to watch. We watch the games, and I love the 3x3. I love, because it's so fast paced. It's so much fun. I think that it's, for right now, I think that anything though that doesn't involve Caitlin Clark is going to suffer by comparison.
It is. It is. She has just been that much of a spearhead for women's basketball.
It's kind of like having Taylor Swift at Kansas City Chiefs games. I'm sorry, the effect is the same.
It is. It is. It makes me laugh when you make that comparison, but it's true.
Yeah,
it's very true. And now they're going to New Orleans. Oh boy, look out.
It's like, and here, actually, Greg and I were watching that game on Sunday, and he and I were on opposite sides. And so I'm rooting for Buffalo, and I'm going, yes, and every time they connected. And I mean, it was a close game.
Oh, it was a classic.
Yep.
Classic.
It was, and I was, I didn't feel quite so bad because there was no money involved, but it was funny because we have rarely been on the opposite side of any issue, right? And it's like, and I'm going, I don't really care, but I can be a good loser. And I had picked the Eagles in the other game. And so he just went dead silent. Such a sore loser. But just kidding, honey. But it was a fun time, and it was
fun. It was fun here too because I asked Jody, "All right, who are we picking?" She says, "What's the first game?" I said, "It's the Eagles and the Redskins in Philadelphia for the NFC Championship." And she thought about it for a moment, and she says, "I really want Washington to win, but my head says Philadelphia." I said, get out. I said, get out of my head because I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And she says, "You already know who I'm picking for the second game." I said, "Of course, you're picking the Chiefs."
Yeah.
And she says, "You're doing that game, right?" I said, "If I don't, Victor will." And she says, "Good. Well, y'all are going to hear me in the bedroom yelling my brains out." So we already are prepared for that.
I love it.
I might, if I can talk her into it, I might have her on with me for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, great. That'll be so perfect. I love it.
We'll be here in studio, and we'll have food in front of us.
That will be awesome.
Because last year for the Super Bowl, she asked me, "What do you want?" I said, "I want the Super Bowl tradition. I want you to make some meatballs." So I'm sitting here getting ready to roll with my pregame show, and she brings me 2 full plates of meatballs.
Oh, she's such a great wife.
I said, "Jody, honey," she says, "Eat. You're going to need the energy." What do you think happened? I fell asleep.
Love it. I did have one possible scenario that I wanted to bring up. I'm sorry. Is that okay?
Go for it.
The what would you think of Brittany Griner as the new center on the Chicago Sky?
Do you see this look on my face?
You're kidding, Alison.
How long have you known me now? How long
Yeah.
have we been friends? You see this look on my face? You know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why would you trust? And this is nothing against Brittany Griner, but why would you trust Brittany Griner in the pivot when you got a young player in Camila Cardoso who's ready to take over? You just have to turn her loose. And that was one of the problems with Spoon's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
The inconsistent way she would turn Camila Cardoso loose.
True. The one thing that I was thinking was Griner is testing the market this year. She's had offers, but she's always stayed with the Phoenix Mercury.
Right.
And she's always stayed with them, but now she kind of wants a different scenario. And so the thought is that Brittany has so many years of experience, and I don't think that she would be in such a bad position to advise, consent, and maybe sit out for a while, because she's been the number one center all these years, and I think that maybe this would give her a chance to mentor a young player.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can't beat her statistics.
No, you can't.
And it would give, Camila could still be number one.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Brittany would like that player advisor role.
Yeah.
Because she's 35 now, something like that.
35.
And so, time's a marching on here.
Mm-hmm.
And if she could be a mentor to Camila and anybody else on that depth chart that they consider, Camila is going to need to have a little break every now and again.
Yep.
I don't know if Brittany wants to lead anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why would she want out of a rather cushy position in Phoenix?
Yep.
Yep. But just the fact that she is interested in this possibility, I think, who better a project, so to speak, than Camila Cardoso. She's going to be an all-star one of these days. She is going to be a very effective center, but it's going to take time.
It is.
And also some wisdom. And who better to give that wisdom than one of the best centers of all time
that ever did it? Absolutely.
Yes.
One more note before we get out of here. Something about women's wrestling becoming a sport now.
It is now a championship sport, according to the NCAA. It is. This is going to be really fun because it has not been. They have not had a championship in the NCAA before for women's wrestling. Right. And I believe it was early in January that the NCAA met. And so it could show up on ESPN The Ocho. That's the new one. And since ESPN has owned the rights to NCAAs, they can actually do that. And as our friend pointed out a few weeks ago, the women's wrestling is the number one growth sport in the nation. Something Something I wouldn't have expected to say 20 years ago.
No, I wouldn't. I would not have expected it either. As long as I've been following and covering women's sports, I would not have expected to say that either. But
Yes.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see how it develops, how it continues to grow, and I'm waiting. I can't wait for next year for women's baseball to come in.
Yes.
And
Yes. I am so looking for. We got to have Justine Siegel on when that happens. Let me just say that the first NCAA Women's Wrestling Championship will take place in 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, and it makes it 30 years after the University of Minnesota Morris sponsored the first women's wrestling program.
Mm-hmm.
So
And they ought to have
baby.
it at a wrestling cathedral.
Yeah.
Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City.
Yes.
And has been known for wrestling. They should have the first championship in Iowa City.
They should. That is the Mecca Yep. Starting, my memory goes back to the 70s when that program started becoming a reality. So this is all good news. May nothing happen to impede, shall we say?
Yes.
Impede the progress of women's sports.
Yeah, better not impede the progress. I'll have a lot to say about it if it does.
We both will. We will go to Washington.
You better believe we will. You better believe we will. All right, we got to get the heck up out of here. But Alison, my dear, thank you, and thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure, always an honor. I'll see you next week.
All right. Have a great week.
Tomorrow, David St. Dennis, a.k.a. David 3000, will join us, and we're going to have a little bit of an extended show. Till then, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, they are simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope you all are too. God bless you, and so long, everybody.